get into this, I am filming this little snippet right here, looped over video from the actual intro that I filmed. I just have to say, this went in depth. This blew me away. This reading was originally intended for Patreon, but I'm glad I'm sharing it with a greater number of you because we really went in with the collective energies of pile 1, 2, and 3, and oh my goodness, this did not disappoint at all. This really shed light on that shadow aspect and not only told us what the shadow was, but how to reintegrate that into something that can be useful. So these were very powerful, very in-depth. My little word of advice would be to get out a pen and paper, take some notes, maybe save this video to a playlist where you can access it at a later time, because this is something you might want to come back to a couple times in the next year or so and just really see how it marinates and see how it resonates later on as well. Take some notes, do some journaling, get a snack, get a beverage, do what you need to do to settle in, because this went long, this went deep. So I couldn't have censored this or shortened this any. Spirit needed to come through in this long, drawn out, I'm seeing on my mic, 2-hour long reading. So depending on shuffling and speeding the shuffling up, it might be just shy of 2 hours long, but stick with it. Even if you're feeling called out, try to stick with it if you can. If you're too triggered, I totally understand and you can click out. It's not going to be a reading for everybody who is a subscriber on my channel. I will just put that warning out there. This is not a video for everybody. If you've done a great deal of your own inner work, shadow work, had your own spiritual awakening, then this will probably resonate better than somebody who is living the 3D matrix grind. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there. So if you consider yourself awakened, on a spiritual journey, someone who's already faced a lot of your past, then this should resonate right and bright for you. But I'm gonna leave you back to where we are starting. Hey, hi, hello, and good afternoon. My name is Amanda, and welcome to The Done Creative. Before we get into this pick a card reading, I just wanted to let you all know I have a live stream channel and a Patreon. So if you are interested in either of those endeavors, you can go ahead and check the description box below for the links for that. As I was sitting down to film this pick a card reading, this was going to be my Patreon exclusive pick a card reading, the very first one. But as I am setting everything up, and I always put my Lemurian quartzes, since I've gotten them, I'm putting them on each pile to just kind of charge and really gather and collect all the energies of everybody who is watching these readings to hopefully make them more accurate, even though they are general readings. But as I'm setting everything up, Spirit says to me, you need to make this more widely available. So I have shuffled the oracle cards already underneath here, but of course the main focus of this reading, interview with your shadow, is still yet to be determined in these decks, so we're gonna hit it very soon here. But Spirit just called me to allow this one to see more eyes, basically, and not be so exclusive to just Patreon. So yes, in this pick a card reading, we're going to be interviewing your shadow. So this is going to be a very important but possibly triggering pick a card reading. And this is going to be one of my pick a card readings where I want you to use your discernment above all else. If something is not for you, please don't try to fit it into your life or blame yourself for something that comes up. Really feel into your own intuition and see if this is actually a message meant for you, because this is a general reading. If you would like a more in-depth analysis or interview with your shadow, you can always book a private appointment with me or another reader to really get the down and dirty about your exact situation. Again, general reading, only take what information resonates and leave the rest behind. So if you are new to pick a card readings, I just ask that you close your eyes, take a couple of deep cleansing breaths to center your energy, and focus in on piles number 1 with the Fountain Tarot, pile number 2 with the Light Seers Tarot, and pile number 3 with the Everyday Witch Tarot. Once you've selected your pile or piles, you can go ahead and check the description box below for the timestamps, and I also pin them as the top comment. Once again, trigger warning, this might be calling you out on some stuff because again, this is your shadow we are interviewing, so proceed with caution, and if it does not resonate, please don't make it fit. Without delaying this any further, I'm going to give you a moment to meditate on your cards, and I will see you at your reading. All right, for those of you who selected pile number 1 with the Fountain Tarot, this is going to be your interview with your shadow. And if you are new to shadow work, or what is my shadow, basically your shadow is not just the negative aspects. Most people say, oh, the shadow is negative. I don't see it that way. I personally see the shadow as unintegrated parts of ourselves, or parts of ourselves we don't understand, parts of ourselves that scare us, parts of ourselves that we feel guilty or ashamed by. I mean, this is an all-encompassing thing, the shadow. And the shadow is wanting to talk to you today, so we're going to interview this shadow. Again, please use your discretion and your discernment with this reading. It's a general reading, so only take the information that resonates with you. Use your intuition, leave the rest behind. One more time, one more chance to click out of this. This is a trigger warning, so this is just your warning that, you may hear things you don't want to hear, and I am not the guy that likes to call people out. I just want to help, because we're not just calling out all these aspects. We're going to look at ways to integrate them and help you integrate this shadow, because these shadow aspects are actually really big strengths for you, and we want to make them strengths, not weaknesses, right? So we're going to try to integrate these aspects, but let's go ahead and interview your shadow. We're going to start with the tarot and then get additional guidance from the already shuffled oracle cards. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and clear it right here on camera for everybody. And I shuffle one way and then another, just so I don't get that bowing in my decks. Okay. All right. We're probably going to draw anywhere from 3 to 4 cards, just maybe 5. Let's just see what feels right. We're going to let your shadow decide. All right. We are channeling Group 1's shadow. We would like to interview you. Anything you want to have come up. Oh yeah, and of course, Temperance is already coming up, but okay, we are dealing this in reverse. I forgot to mention that because, shadow. Because I always see a reversed card as something that is there under the surface that just needs brought to the light to put it in the upright version. Okay, that's my take on it. Okay, what else does Group 1's shadow want them to know? Ooh, King of Cups. In reverse, obviously. I've just heard two more. So here we have the Lovers in reverse. One more. Oh, here it is. And the Two of Cups in reverse. Wow. And this makes a lot of sense. That Two of Cups and the Lovers together, they are very similar energies. It's just, I really feel that the Lovers is a higher octave of the Two of Cups. But wow, this is pretty powerful stuff. And remember, you guys, because you got these in reverse, this is the shadow, you can always integrate these as a strength. Let's keep that in mind as we channel and interview your shadow. So your shadow is already letting you know that life can be very chaotic and out of balance for you. Your shadow likes dealing in chaos, it's like almost like the pressure, when the pressure is on, and the even procrastination I'm really picking up on with you guys with the shadow. It almost just puts this sense of fear in you guys at times, procrastinating and then waiting to the last minute to do something, and then there's that fear that kicks in at the very last moment to finally light that fire under you to do the thing. Especially in your younger years, I'm really seeing those of you who did go to college, or even back in school, you would put a lot of your work or projects off to the last minute, and you guys did well under pressure, but your shadow's saying now, imagine how much better you would have done if you gave yourself the right amount of time and really took your time and really nuanced all the details of your writing or your project or your homework or your studying or whatever it was. Imagine how much better. Even if you pulled out with decent grades or even really good grades, your shadow's saying, imagine how much better you would have done if you would have really put in the investment, the love, the care. Wow. And balancing things. I think you guys really are kind of all or nothing people, and your shadow really does crave that balance, but yet at the same time there is this almost masochistic fun that you guys have by having chaos ensue in your life. And of course, your conscious part of your brain is like, heck no, I want balance. I don't like the chaos. But your shadow's saying, well, if you liked the balance so much, why don't you try to incorporate more of it into your life? Instead of staying up scrolling your phone or watching one more episode on Netflix, why don't you listen to that balance within, that temperance energy within, and turn off the TV, turn out the lights, put the phone away, and go to sleep. That's wow. They're already going in. I hope I haven't triggered anyone yet. I mean, we all have these aspects of ourselves, so don't feel ashamed. This is helping you. Sometimes we can feel these underlying, as we call them problems. I just call them opportunities for growth. But, most people call them problems. We feel these problems within us, these things that we feel need fixing. Really, they don't need fixing per se. It's just you can tweak the energies or move the energies differently to actually have this shadow work for you and with you. And these can all become strengths and superpowers for you, because you do have 2 major arcanas here, and then 1 kind of lower octave of a major arcana, and then a court card. So there's a lot of transformation you guys can go through in your life by facing your shadow, by incorporating these shadow aspects and making them strengths in your life. So let's move to the King of Cups here. The King of Cups in reverse is somebody whose emotions kind of take them for a ride, or your emotions are what really guide you. You may be water signs. You don't have to be specifically sun, moon, rising, or other prominent placements, but just you looking into the water trine, the Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces houses in your chart. We all have them, even if there's nothing going on in those houses. You can also look to your moon sign, because moon is the natural ruler of the house of Cancer, or the sign of Cancer, I should say. Scorpio would be your Mars or your Pluto, depending. Vedic astrology uses Mars, and I do believe Western astrology uses Pluto. And then for Pisces, it's Jupiter for Vedic astrology and Neptune for Western astrology. So look into where those planets are not only sitting in your natal birth chart, but also where they're transiting if you want some additional deep dive into this shadow aspect. But there may even be a possible imbalance with the emotional just weight that you brought into this life. I think karmically there's a lot that you are paying back, and you're gonna feel your way through it with these emotions. Like I always say on my channel, you gotta feel it to heal it, to deal with it and move on. But I think where you guys get stuck with this shadow here, the shadow is saying you just kind of get stuck in the turbulent kind of spin cycle of the emotion, and you can't see your way out of it. It's almost like a whirlpool, and you're feeling like you're going more closer to the center every minute, closer, chaotic. Your shadow is really delivering today. But what I see is it's almost like your higher self and your shadow. Your higher self is almost like, they're showing me now that like image of, and I don't know if you guys have seen it. I've seen it on social media kind of going around. It's an image of like Jesus standing on water, reaching down into the water with a hand. Like the viewer of the painting is the one underwater. Jesus is reaching down. And I'm really seeing Jesus in this aspect as your higher self reaching down to help pull your shadow out. So you can actually channel or call on your own higher self to connect to your shadow. This is what your shadow is saying. What your shadow really desperately wants is to connect to the higher self. And also I'm hearing integration of the inner child as well. It's like this is a trifecta. The higher self, the shadow, the inner child all need to work together like in tandem to really bring you up to the greatest potential, the highest version of you, of your potential. But you guys really are, I think a lot of the things that have happened in your life, the kind of underlying melancholy shadow that you've drug along with you, I call it the backpack full of bricks, all the old wounds, traumas, resentments, guilts, just things that didn't go our way. We just carry them around, and then every time we get hurt from there forward, it's like we pull these bricks out and examine them and almost just kind of get stuck in that instead of looking at it, feeling it, healing it, releasing it. A lot of times we'll then, instead of putting it on the side there and maybe selling it to someone who's a bricklayer that can use it to create something, or even using it for our own creation, integrating into something we can create for ourselves, we then just instead put it back in the backpack, zip it up, and bring it out another day. your shadow wants you to release these things so that you can either transmute that energy into something actually useful, or release that energy once and for all, to the universe, to Mother Earth, so that you can overcome these obstacles. But then with the Lovers, it's almost like I can't separate these two energies. And with the depiction on this Two of Cups, I don't know if it's very easy for you to see, but to me it's very cosmic looking. And I'm hearing Pleiades. I don't know if some of you do identify as Pleiadian starseeds, but what I'm really seeing here is many of you incarnated to have karmic relationships where your love life is concerned. I'm actually seeing someone who's watching this who identifies as ace or asexual. So, wow, major chills too. So it's really hard for you to connect to somebody on a romantic level. Or those of you who have had many partners or many exes along the way, it's just hard for you to connect to someone on an emotional level. It's like the mind and body can be very intertwined, but the emotional part always feels left out in the cold, or it's all emotions, no physical connection or sexual connection, and really no mental connection. It's always like it's off kilter in some way, dealing with emotions, either too much emotion involved or not enough emotion involved. And again, it's calling you back to balance out the mind, the body, the soul, the emotions, balancing all of that out into a beautiful square that is a very stable and secure energy. So as many of you did sign up coming into this life to experience a lot of karmic relationships, especially in love, or where it doesn't quite reach love, it's more like unrequited love, a lot of crushes that just didn't like you back, or crushing on people who are unavailable, like celebrities or people who are married, your boss, teachers, very unavailable kinds of connections that you then get very emotionally frustrated because you can't make it work. And also the Lovers in reverse. This is all about a decision that you made at one point, or many decisions you made along your life path that you wish, like that hindsight's 2020, and you wish you could have done things differently, or you wish you could have said that one thing differently, or ended the relationship differently, or not ended the relationship at all. And you have a lot of woulda, shoulda, couldas in your shadow. It's like your shadow has them almost like an overflowing bag of Halloween candy is really what I'm seeing. And it's like when you get that Halloween candy, you're going door to door to door, and you're getting a little piece of each person you come into contact with. Wow, my left ear is totally ringing now too. Woo! Spirit is delivering. Your shadow isn't alone. I really do feel your higher self is along for the ride in this reading. But wow, like I said, that bag of Halloween candy, you're taking one piece from every person you have been in a relationship with, even acquaintances, people who mean a lot, people you can't stand. It's like you have a little piece of them that you just can't emotionally release the baggage of. And Spirit is saying, it's almost like the higher self is stepping in with a great big cauldron or melting pot that you're going to then open each individually wrapped one of these candies and put it into this melting pot. Wow, what weird symbolism Spirit is showing me and your shadow are showing me, but I love this actually. Putting all of this into this melting pot. You don't have to go to every acquaintance, every old coworker, every friend, every family member and try to dive deep into why things didn't work out, or why do I like this person or not like this person, or really trying to find the nuance of every single relationship you've ever been in. No, Spirit's saying, individually opening them. Yes, that's the individual part, acknowledging the relationship, but then putting each individually wrapped one, once it's opened, into this melting pot, that once that last little piece of candy out of that bag is put in, you go recycle all of that trash that you opened up the candy from, and then you just start stirring it together, letting it all melt and meld together. And this is, I'm hearing, an emotional melting pot. So it's almost like you can face a lot of this through one great big purge, or one great big dark night of the soul that will really not just scratch the surface of a lot of your emotional burdens, traumas, wounds, not just in this life, but in past lives. And they're saying right now, especially past lives, because you guys did come in with a pretty large karmic backlog having to do with relationships. So you may have actually a very heavy 7th house in your birth chart, or there's something going on in your 7th house, which, first house is you, 7th house is everybody else, but 7th house more specifically involves business partnerships or your actual partnership with your love interest. So then those people specifically, or whatever, they're showing me now too, whichever sign your 7th house is, whichever planet rules that sign, and wherever that planet also sits in your birth chart, is going to be very important to really help you navigate how to move through this and how to heal from it. But I really do see in your future, you're going to be able to melt all of this emotional trauma, abuse, wounds from this life and other lives together and really concoct it into something new, something, it's like you're alchemizing it. You're taking it from a solid to a liquid and then reinstating it as a solid when you pour it into new molds and create something new with it. But it's the act of you unwrapping everything, putting it in and stirring. That's the main part of what Spirit's showing me. You feeling it, you putting the work in to deal with whatever it is you've hidden. And for some of you, this could be hidden, and it does feel like childhood stuff that you're still working through. It's heavy. It's really heavy. And you guys, even if you're thinking right now, it feels so heavy to just face it all at once. And Spirit's saying you don't have to do that, but there will be opportunities in life for you to be able to do that because you didn't accumulate it all at once. It's like, the little trick-or-treater going door to door to door to door, lifetime after lifetime, door to door to door, getting a piece of candy from each person they come into contact with over and over, cycle, cycle, cycle. You didn't accumulate it all at once. So it's going to be really difficult for you to just try to face it all at once. But there are going to be 2 more opportunities in your lifetime for you to just have this really big emotional cleansing purge where you are shaking and crying and releasing. And you may even be like on the earth. I'm seeing you like rolling around in dirt, almost like naked. And to me, this feels like your shadow aspect. You could take it literally and go out in the woods and do this or wherever, but this to me feels like your shadow just wanting to be stripped bare and naked and rolling around in the dirt and just letting it all hang out. But if that just feels very overwhelming to those of you who are like, wow, I don't even know where to start in dealing with this emotional backlog, you don't have to know where to start because it will come up. It will come up, and as it comes up, feel it to heal it, to deal with it and move on. Us trying to repress our emotions or bypass them with all love and light, rainbows and unicorns, that's not going to work here. And you're going to know when you just feel off one day and you know it's something from your past, you don't have to sit there and try to dissect it. Just open it up by acknowledging it. That is you opening the little candy bar. Acknowledge, I'm feeling off today. Even if you don't know why, acknowledge it. That's you unwrapping the candy bar, throwing it into the pot, okay? So you don't have to dive deep and be like, well, he said this and then I did that, and man, I felt this way. I don't know how they felt, but I felt this way. You don't have to do that. Your shadow's saying you don't even have to do that. It's just the feeling, whatever it is you're feeling in the moment of whatever, whenever, feel it to heal it, to deal with it. Woo! We went in. It's already so long into this reading, but I think these are just going to have to be really in-depth readings. That's what Spirit's delivering. So let's get into your oracle cards. But actually, I'm going to restart my camera first because we're already toward the end of my filming. We've got about 6-7 minutes left, but I don't want to cut this off. So I'm going to restart my camera real quick and then we'll get into your oracle cards. I think we're good, but wow. Wow. With what we already got, Spirit came in hot with the DNA, the karma card here, and ancestors, generations. Oh, wow. I can't wait to get into this. Whew. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And actually, this card here and this card here we're going to save those for last because these are the ways you're going to overcome this. I know we've kind of tapped into ways you're overcoming these shadow aspects, not overcoming them so much, but reintegrating them into something that can actually be valuable and useful. So I think what we'll do is we're going to start up here with the Metal King, discipline, armor, and boundaries, and really pairing this up with this King of Cups, the Lovers, the Two of Cups. I'm really seeing that you guys do get lost. You lose yourself a lot of times in those loving or love partnerships that you're in, or just close friendships that are very intimate. It could be like a mother and a child, or best friend energy, soulmate energy, twin flame energy, whatever resonates. But this to me feels like you sometimes lose yourself in the oneness of what you're creating in any given relationship. And that's where these emotional wounds come in, when the other person doesn't really reciprocate losing themselves in you. Maybe they maintain their friends circle. Maybe, if you're dating someone, they still want to go out with their friends and do things that don't involve you, and sometimes that might hurt your feelings. This is really you overcoming that feeling of just wanting to completely meld and melt. There's that melting pot analogy, but taken a different way. It's almost like you just want to melt into all of these people that you come into contact with and be one with them. But maybe they aren't ready for that level of connection. But you desperately crave that level of connection because that's what you've had in your lifetimes in the stars, or that's the connection you ultimately have to your higher self, your twin flame, your spirit guides, source itself. That is the most natural state, is for us to all be one. But when we're in the human experience, we are individuals trying to reconnect ourselves to others. And you know this on a soul deep level, and it's hard for you when other people don't reciprocate that to you. But look, we have in the number 37 here. So there is a new beginning coming up for you where you can learn to put your own boundaries up and not give too much of yourselves as well. I think emotionally, you guys can get sucked dry by those energy vampires in your life. Maybe you've had to deal with a lot of narcissists, especially in the family. Could have been the father. The King of Cups in reverse could be an absent father. Could be just a very authoritative and masculine, kind of dominant mother figure as well, if the father thing doesn't resonate. Also, could have been in romantic relationships with the Lovers and Two of Cups here, where you felt thoroughly dominated, or the boundaries were just very hard to find for you. You gave too much of yourself. Other people didn't give enough to you. Again, might resonate differently for each of you. This, to me, feels like a sliding scale spectrum of those whose shadow that we are interviewing today. But yeah, I'm feeling like you guys will learn to discipline yourselves and become more tempered and balanced in your emotions in your intimate relationships. That's part of what you're here to do. That is a big part of your karma, because the DNA card here, karma, pairing that up, these are the two most alike cards in this whole Earth Magic deck, and you got them in the same reading. This is so huge and powerful, and both depictions have a snake. Well, a snake and then two snakes, which is kind of symbolic of the caduceus, or the healing, right? This is you incarnating in this life to really pay back a lot of karma. But I think by age 36, even if you're not near that, or maybe you're past that by now, but I think by age 36, many of you, maybe even up to age 42, because they're really showing me now the planet Saturn. Saturn really does have to do with a lot of karma. And because it is below the temperance, which is Aquarius energy in Vedic astrology, Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. But also Uranus rules temperance or Aquarius, I should say, in Western astrology. But wherever Saturn is in your chart, and then whatever house Saturn rules, which would be Capricorn and Aquarius in Vedic, or just Capricorn in Western, I believe, that's going to be indicative of how this karma is really playing out in your life. And also the ancestors, generations. This really, to me, feels like 4th house energy, 2nd house energy, and they're saying 12th house energy as well. So maybe you have Saturn in the 12th house. I don't know. Maybe Uranus in the 12th house. You don't have to for this to still resonate, but there is a lot of healing. And I'm really seeing these kind of little circles as like red blood cells and white blood cells. It's like your DNA is changing and shifting. As you integrate this shadow more and more, your DNA will shift and upgrade. So some of you may have inherited bad genetics, or just family diseases, family ailments, they're showing me something maybe even with the thumbs or kind of the wrists, like problems with joints, arthritis possibly that you inherited, but as you face your shadow, you can kind of biohack your own DNA to overcome any obstacles or issues that you would have. They're showing me also like diabetes, different cancers in life that you can overcome as you face your shadow, because you incarnated into your specific family line to flip the script, to break the cycle, break the chains, to heal generational curses and ancestral traumas. You're here for that. And wow, major powerful influx of your guides, your ancestors especially, are coming in like on both sides of me, behind me, in front of me, above me, below me. I feel completely wrapped in the arms of your ancestors, and you were the one they've been waiting for, is what they just said. You are someone from higher realms that decided to descend down to earth to incarnate into this specific bloodline to clear so much trauma. And that's why many of you had a really hard time, probably especially in your own family line. Maybe you had some really close connections in your family, but there were other family members that you tried so hard to emotionally connect to and it just never worked, or they were absent, or you were searching for them, or there's just this unfulfilled emotional wound with most of you in your shadow, having to do with your family line, one side or the other, or both. Wow. I'm actually even seeing someone who's adopted who you don't know your actual biological line, at least on one of the sides. You don't know your biological line, and it's created this emotional hole in your heart. But I'm seeing that by the end of your life, well before the end of your life, you're gonna come to know, or at least your higher self will come in and give you a general idea of what is missing for you in that family line, that you won't feel like you're still searching for something that's missing, okay? Wow, major chills, you guys. But then the Lady of the Lightning card here, we have the number 35, which adds up to 8. So this is you actually taking action, physically, purposely taking action on this shadow, this wound deep within you. But this card is all about surprises. It's something that's very shocking and a total paradigm shift. So really, to me, this is the epitome of a spiritual awakening. The Lady of Lightning. Maybe you connect to lightning as well. Your shadow loves lightning, loves thunderstorms. Even if you're someone who's terrified of like Mother Earth's weather patterns, they're not just showing like wind and lightning and rain. They're showing me like tsunamis and earthquakes and tornadoes. They're showing me just like all these scary like natural weather things that you yourself may be terrified of, but your shadow really thrives on that. There's some power within that. And wow, just it's coming full circle. I just realized power has also power card, and there's lightning. So there is a lot of your own personal power that's still wrapped up in the shadow. And once you face this shadow, oh, wow. As a result of your spiritual awakening and you diving into the depths of this shadow, you're gaining more of your confidence, your personal power, your own intuition, tempering your emotions, deeper connections with those in your life that you've been just thirsting and craving for. You're getting those as you face the shadow. Personal power is yours, and it is in your own hands. Look, the lightning's coming from her hands. And this to me is you, your higher self. But the darkness, the backdrop of darkness here, really does feel like your shadow. And it's hard to see the light without the darkness. But that light is so easy to see when it's completely, embroiled in darkness. But you guys are going to be able to face the darkness with your light and create something much, much more powerful than what you've already created in your life. So we also have the Thriving card. So I think many of you, especially with the generations, the DNA, the ancestors, the karma, you really had to go without a lot of things, especially like security, stability, especially in the emotional front, but like, growing up really living paycheck to paycheck, or just feeling like this sense of security that's just not there, just not there, just not there. And it could just be, maybe you had all the money and all the things and all the whatever you desired, but you didn't have that emotional security, emotional fulfillment from those that should have been there for you in, your family and also in significant relationships in life. But as a result of you facing this shadow, you're gonna start thriving. You're gonna have abundance of beautiful emotional connections, an abundance of physical, material wealth and goods and security and stability in your home life. You're gaining that by facing your shadow. And also, these are the two things you're really gaining that were the highlight here. We have surrender to trust. Trust yourself and your decisions. Remember those decisions that it was hard for you to make those decisions, or you thought you made wrong choices in the past. But you, as you face the shadow, will learn to trust your intuition and not second guess the decisions you're making. Trust yourself and your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what you do. It might have been family or significant others or friends that really would try to get you on their line of thinking, even though it emotionally crippled you at times. Take action. Yes, there's that action. And be confident, there's that power, that you have chosen the right path. Look at the path that this is creating here. Wow. And you're transcending this shadow. Transcend your mind's limitations. Limiting beliefs, that's a big shadow thing, our limiting beliefs. Transcend your mind's limitations and allow your soul's light to truly shine. Yes, everything we've been saying was really just wrapped up with a beautiful bow at the end here. Wow. Thank you so much to your shadow for letting us interview them. This was powerful. Power, thriving, transcendence, and surrendering to trust. This is what you're gaining by facing your shadow. More discipline, more boundaries, a total paradigm shift where you can realize that you are whole and complete on your own. You don't need others to complete you. Even if you don't get that emotional fulfillment you need from others, maybe you're giving it to yourself. Whew, powerful. This was probably my most in-depth pick a card in quite a hot minute, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were cozy and comfy and had your beverage or a snack while we went down and dived deep into this, but I love you guys. Feel free to share any stories you want in the comments. I always love to hear from you, and you might find some support in the comments if this is just feeling like I don't know where to start. I'm sure we're all feeling this sense of where do I even begin where our shadows are concerned. So I just hope this, shed a little bit of light on that for you, and, maybe put things in perspective for you a little bit, if at the very least. But I just want to say thanks again so much for all your likes, comments, shares, subscribes, and all the things. And I really, truly do hope to see you right here back at the Den Creative, also over on my Livestream channel and my Patreon, both linked in the description below. Hope to see you over there in the High Vibe Tribe. All right, bye. All right, Group 2, this is going to be your interview with your shadow. And if you are new to shadow work or what is my shadow, basically your shadow is not just the negative aspects. Most people say, oh, the shadow is negative. I don't see it that way. I personally see the shadow as unintegrated parts of ourselves, or parts of ourselves we don't understand, parts of ourselves that scare us, parts of ourselves that we feel guilty or ashamed by. I mean, this is an all-encompassing thing, the shadow. And the shadow is wanting to talk to you today, so we're going to interview this shadow. Again, please use your discretion and your discernment with this reading. It's a general reading, so only take the information that resonates with you. Use your intuition, leave the rest behind. One more time, one more chance to click out of this. This is a trigger warning, so this is just your warning that, you may hear things you don't want to hear, and I am not the guy that likes to call people out. I just want to help, because we're not just calling out all these aspects. We're going to look at ways to integrate them and help you integrate this shadow, because these shadow aspects are actually really big strengths for you, and we want to make them strengths, not weaknesses, right? So we're going to try to integrate these aspects. But let's go ahead and interview your shadow. We really went in with Group 1. I really wasn't sure what Spirit had in store for us, because I pre-shuffled your oracles, but we're going to draw or shuffle on camera with the main energies, the tarot cards. And we drew 4 tarot cards in Group 1. I didn't even know how we were going to play this out, but Spirit led the way. Your shadow led the way. We figured it out, and it was beautiful. and masterful and in-depth. So hopefully we can accomplish much the same with you, group 2. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with your tarot, as I said, and then get additional guidance from the oracle cards. So we're gonna shuffle these on camera. So this is still a newer deck, but I like to turn them upside down so as to not get a bowed deck going on. All right. Let's get some guidance from group 2 shadow. We want to interview the shadow. Here we are. And yeah, I forgot to mention we are doing these in reverse because the shadow is kind of the reverse. And like I said in group 1, I always see a reversal in tarot as a potential to be an upright. So that's how we're reading this with the shadow today as well. All right, group 2, anything the shadow wants to talk about today. We are ready for the interview. Wow, already 2 major arcanas. We've got the Magician and Death. Wow. Woo! And the 4 of Wands in reverse. Woohoo! What else is coming in hot from group 2's shadow? Here it is. 2 of Swords. Wow. Back of the deck energies, they're telling me this is important, so we're going to take that as well. So we've got here the Ace of Cups, so I think we'll have to just do one of these little numbers. Hopefully we can still see everything if I do this. All right. Wow, let's get into this, group 2. Okay. Wow. Wow. Okay. First and foremost, the underlying energy of all of this, of your incarnation, of your shadow, of what you're here to do, has to do with love, especially self-love. But of course, we, as within, so without, we reflect. Other people are mirrors of us. What we have going on the inside is reflected in everybody else and everything else that is external to us. So the underlying energies that really Spirit wants to talk about today is about love. Pure love. Not the love that we humans call love. It's very conditional. This is pure, unconditional love. Wow. And what we have here with this Magician, you may just feel the shadow feels very out of control. Either it's all or nothing. And we did get a bit of that vibe in group 1, but this really, with these 2 major arcana energies, this is something you're going to be able to transform in this incarnation, in this lifetime. But it might take you to the depths of despair, depths of darkness. I feel for most of you, this is in your past, for sure. Especially those of you over age 30, 35, almost 40. You guys have really been through the deepest part of everything that you are meant to experience. Those of you in your 60s, 70s, I know I have people in those age brackets that do watch, so we're going to cover everything here. You don't have a lot left to worry about. This to me just feels like minor things that you're just really weaving together and overcoming, because you're taking your full incarnation's life experience and wisdom that you've gained along the way, and it's like almost like aha moment and epiphany after epiphany after epiphany, to where you don't have to be dragged down to the tower moments anymore to then overcome them. It's like you can draw on the breath of past tower moments to overcome anything you've got going on in the present moment, so that you don't have to experience that again and again and again like you did maybe as a younger person. So that being said, your shadow really likes, much like group 1, I'm hearing the word chaos, destruction, really like I'm seeing someone lighting a bridge on fire, like completely burning a bridge. Maybe you are that person. It's like, if you cross me, you never get a second chance. Or maybe there are people in your life, because again, general reading, so I'm seeing a spectrum of people where you have a lot of people in your life that burned bridges with you, and you just wanted nothing more than to, this isn't so far gone, we can fix this, but you just never got that reciprocation from the other person, and it left you deeply wounded. This could have been the death or the loss of not just one, but many people throughout your life that meant something to you, that meant a lot to you, that really put your whole reality on blast. Like, I don't even know if I want to continue without these people. And it could have even been like the death of the relationship, not the death of the actual person, but I'm seeing both, like a big mixed bag of both just mixed together. And yeah, and what I see with this is a lot of times you were the one, more on a subconscious level, that, was the one that lit that match and decided to destroy any further potential and just leave it in the past. But yet that past sometimes comes back to haunt you over and over and over again. And it's almost like you beat yourself up and make yourself feel like you don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve to be happy because the Four of Wands in its upright position is ultimate fulfillment, happiness, happy family, weddings, happy home. So many of you did not grow up in a happy home. There may have been, not every childhood is 100% horrendous. Not every childhood is. But I think it was definitely over 50% for you guys that you just didn't feel secure, you didn't feel stable. Maybe you moved a lot. Maybe you were homeless at one point. Maybe you lost your home to some sort of disaster, natural flooding, a fire, splitting up of family members that just don't talk to each other anymore, or it's an us versus them kind of division in the family. And maybe you're still dealing with that today, but this really did start, or you just saw the beginnings of this in childhood. But this, again, much like group 1, you guys bit off a lot of karma to overcome in this life. I love this analogy when Spirit gives it to me. They'll show me these, I've never been to Vegas, but I hear they are very, very famous for their buffets. The buffets can go on and on and on for almost miles, it seems like. Just what I've heard from people. I, again, haven't experienced it, but Spirit's showing me, before you incarnated group 2, you had this really big platter plate. It's not even just, your regular dinner plate. This is a oval platter, and you're just heaping on this, heaping on that. I'm gonna experience this. I'm gonna have this heartbreak. I'm gonna do this. And by the time you get to your table, which is your incarnation, got your fork and your spoon and your knife and you're ready to sit down and actually eat it, you're like, oh no, what have I done? Or you're partway into the meal, you're like, oh no, what have I done? I can't possibly finish all of this. So maybe some of you were like, what was I thinking when I incarnated? Taking on this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and your shadow is kind of just laughing in the distance, oh, let's see what happens. Kind of rubbing their hands I'm ready to get to work. And they're saying, there may be some lessons left unlearned, but that's okay because you guys really did bite off a lot in this incarnation. And if you don't complete everything and learn everything that you set out to, it's okay. It's okay, because I think going in, our energies, our vibrations are so high from that higher perspective. Then we get into this density and we don't realize that just one of those lessons we took on was going to take way more years than we estimated from, when you're hungry. They say, don't go shopping when you're hungry, because you're going to buy things that you don't need and that are just kind of frivolous. And not to say that the lessons your soul signed up for in this life are frivolous or anything like that, but I think there are just some that are more important to learn and overcome than others. And I think most of what is important for you to focus in on is your own sense of self-worth and how you view other people. And, the hierarchies we see, well, that person's below me, that person's above me. This is a big part of what you're here to learn, is to overcome the hierarchical kind of viewpoint of life. And to realize you are worthy, you are good enough. And those that maybe you had once deemed not good enough, not worthy, they are as well. And those you deemed above you, no, they're not. It's all perception. It's all ego as well. And shadow. I see a lot of incarnations in the past where, past lives, parallel lives, whatever you want to call them, where you did incarnate as someone down on your luck or not able to have the dream life or the dream relationship or security or abundance. You really did struggle, and that's one that I think you guys will be able to overcome in this life, or at least take a major bite out of on that platter there, of really feeling into your self-worth and feeling deeper connections with people on a more soul level. This is you finding those soulmate relationships. There might be a few that did incarnate with you in your family, kind of that us versus them, where you're really palling up with those who really resonate with you, and then This to me also feels like found family. Like you're finding a lot of friends that feel like family, soul family kind of people. And you're creating your own destiny once you realize these things. Once you realize that the power has been in your hands the whole time, and maybe you've been giving your power to other people and then hoping they just give you a little scrap of that back here once in a while, you're going to be doing this in this life majorly, because you're not going to just take these things that happen to you, these tower moments, these death and rebirth moments, you're not going to take them for granted. You, pile 2, are going to really learn from the hard times, the lessons, the mistakes, the regrets. You're learning from these things. And not only are you learning from them, you're creating something beautiful and powerful from those experiences. I think many of you do channel your traumas, your wounds into beautiful words, into beautiful art, into creativity. You take what destroyed you on some level and recreate yourself with the pieces from the rubble that you pick up. They're almost showing me like an earthquake that happened, and the walls are down, the foundation's cracked, but there's still stuff inside of that house. Sorry, I'm taking off my sweatshirt. There's still stuff in that house that's still worth keeping, still worth holding on to, still worth examining and, bringing into the new version of your life that you're going to now have to create. But I think a lot of this was kind of forced or thrust upon you by fate, by destiny, by other people's actions. This isn't a lot of what's happened to you. It's like, I'm a good person. Why do these bad things keep happening? Again, going back to that buffet plate of what you heaped up on that plate before you incarnated. That's why. It's not because you're a bad person or not good enough or not lovable enough. It's not. It's because your soul wanted to experience these things, and that's why. So in this life, you're going to really dive into that shadow part of yourself that feels unworthy, unneeded, unloved, unwanted. Why can't I just catch a break? I just heard your shadow shout from the back of the room. Almost like, what's his name? Damien in Mean Girls, where he's got his hoodie over his head and all like the laces are all done up and he's got his sunglasses. She doesn't go to this school. He's just, yelling from the back of the room. That's your shadow right now, just yelling like, yeah. I love the weird little things Spirit gives me. I just love it. But that's you. Your shadow is kind of yelling from the back of the room, kind of like, told you so. You should have listened to me all along. Yeah, it just keeps coming in with new little Mean Girl snippets there. But really, I like that this Two of Swords is coming out in reverse for you, because the feeling blinded or not knowing what direction to go or feeling stuck or stagnant or out of your own power and control, it's all illusory. It's all in your mind. It's all in the ego. It's in the shadow. It's not real. It's not true. And you're learning from that. You are learning from that. And you will be able to take off that blindfold and see your worth, see the truth. It's like they're now showing me like funhouse mirrors where, you look in, you've really worked hard and lost a lot of weight, or, got healthy, gained weight for some of you, and you're looking in this funhouse mirror and it still is reflecting back to you this past version of yourself. And you're like rubbing your eyes and cleaning the mirror and you're like, wait, but this just does not reflect what I know to be on the inside. It's because that ego is still at play. That shadow is still telling you lies from the past even, or stuck in the past and, telling you you're not good enough. But the shadow knows deep down you are. And you know deep down you are. You're overcoming this, though, in this life. You're really going to see these belief systems where you felt, maybe economically you grew up not worthy. You just had a low self-esteem. Other people told you weren't good enough. You're realizing this was all based on ego, their ego, your ego, society's ego, collectively. And you're seeing through to the truth of stuff. You're seeing through to the true love. Not the conditional love, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. No, you're seeing through to the heart of it. And I think many of you did experience a lot of Older people in your family would put you in charge of things you just were too, I don't know, it's like you were too young to endure, too immature to have to be that responsible. So some of you might have been the eldest child in the family and expected to do way more. Even if you weren't the eldest child, it was like more was expected of you than should have been for how old you were at the time. I'm actually seeing like a single mother raising children, and you as one of the children had to be kind of there for everybody else, kind of the emotional support, the second mother, taking the other brothers and sisters places and doing a lot of things around the home. And then you would come, the mother would come home and yell at you that everything wasn't perfect and done to her standard. And maybe, I'm seeing almost like a mommy dearest kind of moment where the mom, like, you didn't do it 100% perfect, so the mom is like just ripping everything out, like, do it over. And it just devastated you. And you're like, can't you see that I tried? I tried so hard, and you can't even see anything beyond what's in your own mind. Wow, that's a deep wound for some of you, is just with this energy, feeling you have to prove yourselves to everybody, feeling you have to prove your worth. I mean, you should just be able to show up and your worth should just be known and felt and seen and heard and tasted and touched. But it wasn't. And maybe it still isn't with a lot of people in your life. But those people in your life that do see your worth, they don't need you to try to like make excuses for why you aren't perfect. Or it's almost like I'm seeing now like a student that worked really hard on a paper, but like part of it got wet and then it smudged the words, and then you couldn't quite remember the words that you had initially. And so you're trying to like tell the teacher, I swear I worked so hard on this. The words that I have here now that I wrote over the smeared stuff just aren't the same, but please know that I put in the work. And then the teacher gives you a D on it because they're like, this is sloppy. Not only did you write over the old words, like I can't read it, I don't know what this is, but you knew the original version of that work was amazing and a masterpiece, and you just wished you could show other people what was inside of you, and then what you did put on the page that then kind of got wiped clean in a way. You just want to prove yourself to teachers, to authorities, to parents, to friends, to family members, to everybody. You're trying to prove yourself, and it's almost like that shadow part of yourself is saying, you already come into a situation with your dukes up ready to fight. And you're changing that in this life because you're going to meet people that are going to reflect that inner part of yourself that's done the shadow work, that are then going to let you show up with like a pillow and a blanket and a little, soft stuffy, and just curl up and vibe together. Like, that's where you're going. That's where you're headed. So if you, at the time of your watching this, don't have a lot of close connections, just wait, because they're coming to you. That is part of the rebirth process that you clicked into place to sign up to experience in this life, is to have those, once you've started doing the work, to prove that this worked. Because you're that person. You need evidence. You need proof. You need proof that you are worthy. You need proof that you're good enough. Just you being good enough and your higher self knowing that you're good enough isn't enough for many of you. That ego part of yourself, that shadow part of yourself, needs proof that you're good enough. Well, you're going to start getting people in your life that are going to reflect back to you just how good enough you are by being that beautiful match to your energy. And you're the beautiful match to their energy. And you help bring each other up. You help raise each other. Because there's the death, then the rebirth. Then what? The baby's born, but then what? If the mother's MIA and, the other people in the house aren't around, it's almost like the baby's got to raise each other and help each other. And that's really what I see. Maybe after a massive spiritual awakening, you guys go into this process where you meet other people, and together as a community, or as, soulmate connection, or as a friend group, whatever it looks like for you, you then help bring each other up. You help raise each other up. When one of you falls, the other one reaches down to pick them up. When this one's lagging behind, this one will slow down to match the pace, and then bring them up with their pace. You're attracting these relationships eventually. That's what your shadow wants you to know. By diving in and facing the things from the past, you will then have a better reflected future. Woo! We are going in, and I love it. But let's go ahead and get some additional guidance from these oracle cards. I am going to actually restart my camera because, yes, both groups 1 and 2 have gone so in depth that I'm going to need to do that, or it's just going to stop filming at the 30-minute mark, which we're at about the 22-ish minute mark right now. So I am going to pause that and start a new video. So I'll be right back for your oracle cards. Wow. Wow, these oracle cards really just aren't ceasing to amaze me at all with what we got already in the tarot cards, both in groups 1 and 2. So these 2 and this one here, we're going to save to the end because this to me feels like what you're going to create out of facing the shadow. Although we've really touched on ways you're overcoming it anyway, so I think we will start over here with the Rainbow Prince. Compensation, perseverance. So this to me really does feel much like that magician energy with these beautiful rainbows coming out of his palms. This is energy that you as the magician are creating from within yourself. This comes from your higher self. But I think your shadow a lot of times will dull that beautiful light or make it so it's not so bright. But much like we said in group 1 as well, they're showing me, when the sun's out and the sky is bright blue, you can't see those beautiful stars. When the sun goes down and the moon is dark as well, you can see those points of light very beautifully against that black or darker backdrop. So you really are using the death process, the shadow process, to then have the rebirth and the higher self come more online. So really this is tied in with your spiritual awakening and finding those soul family members. But then with this simplicity card, it's like I think many of you, as that kind of overachiever mindset that you came in with your foundational roots, you don't realize you don't have to work as hard as you think you do to accomplish the things you want in life and to overcome these shadow aspects. You're still kind of operating in this blindfolded energy of, man, it's been so hard in the past, it's going to continue to be hard. This is you facing your belief systems and really realizing in the simplest form of everything, the only thing that's true is love. Again, not that conditional human label slapped on it called love word. Not that kind of love. We're talking about love. That is the vibration, that life force of source that runs through everything, that pulses in every beat of your heart, that quivers in the leaf on the tree, that, like slithers through the mud, through that earthworm, right? That is love. That's the love we're talking about. That energy of source that animates everything. And I think many of you, with this simplicity, it's like just simplifying your life. I see closets jammed full of stuff that have a lot of trauma associated with them, or they're showing me like a clothing closet that's full of sizes. It's like maybe 4 sizes bigger, 4 sizes smaller, and then just a few clothes that are about the size you are now. And you're keeping these older clothes that are bigger because, well, what if I need to fit into those eventually? Or those clothes that are smaller, like someday I'm going to fit into those. This is you really getting real and present in the moment and examining what is it that's going to serve me right now. And of course, seasonal clothing can still serve you, quote unquote, right now if it's going to fit you during the season, right? But this is you releasing those clothes that are too big, releasing those clothes that are too small, because those versions of you don't exist right now. And what's important is the version of you that is expressing itself right now. So this can go many ways. I mean, this could be physically, like things in your home, stuff that's hanging on your walls that really doesn't resonate with who you are in this now moment anymore. And you taking that down and possibly replacing it with something that really feels like it resonates with you. Maybe it's something you're creating. Because with this Dreamtime card creation, you guys are those artists, those wordsmiths, those writers, those artists, just creators in general, musicians even. You guys transmute the pain that you feel into something beautiful. That's what you do. And that's what you're continuing to do. But I think a lot of your deepest fears do come out in your dream state. Or even when you do try to embody more of your spirituality by going into meditation or using oracle cards or some sort of form of divination. Maybe you grew up in a religion or a household that said that stuff was evil. It's like one more belief system you have to overcome. Someone else's belief system that was thrust upon you saying tarot is evil, witchcraft is evil, whatever insert here that you do to really connect to your higher self, to your guides, to your angels, to source, is evil, they say. They say. But you know differently. You know what's best for you and your soul. And you get a lot of this shadow will work itself out in your dream time. In your trying to connect with spirit, sometimes maybe you'll see things or feel things or experience things that feel scary, so then you try to just shut it all down again. This is you leaning into being afraid and overcoming and doing it anyway. But you guys really are creating something. You're not letting this pain be for no reason. You're using what you have experienced in the past and you're using it to create something new and beautiful and inspirational and helpful. It's just that helping hand, those people you meet, and you're one of those beacons of light as well, but they're on the path of life with you, maybe running parallel because we're not all on that same exact path, but when you stumble and fall, they pick you up. When they're lagging behind, you go grab their hand and bring them up with you, like we said earlier. But you're creating a whole new version of you, a whole new version of what you see as reality. So the life you create after your spiritual awakening is going to look vastly different than the life from before. Vastly different. Because as a result of you having this spiritual awakening, it's just second nature to you guys to dive into the depths. But don't get lost there. Your shadow doesn't want to just be like a side aspect of you. Your shadow wants to be fully integrated and incorporated into who you are. And they want to help. They're like this kind of, they're showing me now, your shadow is showing me themselves as kind of a delinquent youth. And it's like, the youth doesn't want to sit out here and cause problems and throw beer bottles through windows and drink and do all these bad things. They're doing it because they want attention. They want love. So once you show them that attention and let them know, hey, I'm here for you. Let's do something together. Let's create something together. Maybe you gather up all those old beer bottles from that delinquent youth of your shadow aspect, and then you go make some art out of that. Your shadow would absolutely love that. And I think that's what you guys do just innately. It's just natural to you to do that, to bring that shadow along for the ride. Maybe you guys like to listen to a lot of sad songs and just lose yourself in those past emotions, things that happened in the past. Maybe songs that are like poking a bruise or pulling off a scab. Like, I don't know why I do this to myself, but I can't help myself. And maybe you use sad music or more melancholy music to create whatever it is you create. We also have the spirit whisperer, divine guidance, higher knowing, the number 3, the Holy Trinity, creation. Wow. So you really are in this life going to really, I see like a beautiful communion. We got this a little bit in group 1 as well, but I see a beautiful communion between your younger or your inner child, your shadow, and your higher self. Integrating all 3 aspects of you into one, you're going to then get that divine guidance and higher knowing. You're tuning more into your intuition. You're really learning to trust yourself. And then these two really do go hand in hand here. We've got stillness and relaxation. You need more of this in your life because you guys try so damn hard. Remember, simplify. Woo! Yeah, see, there's that shadow coming in to mess things up. It's not easy. It's not easy. But you guys do need to simplify. Simplify, going back to that example I used of the closet with all the different clothing. You could take that more symbolically of your energy. releasing traumas and wounds from the past that aren't serving your present moment anymore. Not allowing yourself to go on these downward and darker spirals that you sometimes allow yourself to go down. But of course, if you're working to transmute these things and integrate them, then do that. But if you're just looking to, poke that bruise or peel that scab off, your shadow's saying, I don't want to visit you like that. I don't want you to be that policeman that comes and arrests me as the delinquent youth. I want you to be that person that's like, hey, why don't you gather up those beer bottles? Let's go create something with it. Let's spend time together. What do you like to eat? Let's go get that, and then we'll figure out what we want to create. That's the kind of connection your shadow wants with you. Not that policeman coming in to arrest him and take him in. So stillness and relaxation. This is a great way that you will get kind of uncomfortable to face the shadow. But again, you're not facing the shadow as the policeman. You're facing the shadow as that, good Samaritan that wants to, show this delinquent youth another way. And this person does have a book here. So maybe some of you are wanting to write a book about your past experiences, or maybe you already have. But you really are taking the knowledge and wisdom and higher knowing and divine guidance that you have accumulated and creating something with it. Very creative energy with you guys. Very, very creative. But you do need more stillness. You do need more relaxation and downtime. You need more time to just be. Like I say on my channel, we're not human doings, we're human beings. And your shadow wants you to just be so that it can then finally have its say, have its voice heard. So yeah, the stillness and the relaxation might come with some uncomfortability. Is that a word? Uncomfortability. Is that a word? I don't know. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable, especially if you're not used to stillness and relaxation. Many of you are those doers, those fixers, those creators that just feel you have to always be doing something to be relevant, to be worthy, right? But you're not. You don't have to. You don't have to, because you're just as worthy when you're creating as you are when you're asleep or sitting next to a river just watching the leaves float by on the water here. Do more of this. That's what your higher self and your shadow both want you to know. Okay, so ways you can really work on this shadow. We've got here advancement. A strong energy is propelling you forward. Follow the stirrings of your heart. Yes, this energy that's propelling you forward is your higher self. But of course, bringing on that light, you've got to see the shadow. But bringing on more of this light will help you see the shadow even more, because when it's completely dark and you have but just a match lit in that darkness, it's just a teeny bit of light and a whole bunch of dark. But when you bring on more of your divine guidance, your higher self, when you bring more of that on, it really lights up a room like a spotlight. And then anything that's not illuminated in that spotlight's just kind of fallen in shadow. And it's much easier to see the shadow when it's not immersed in complete darkness, right? So the energy is coming in to assist you here on this planet. There are many energies and divine helpers that are helping raise the vibration on this planet. And you yourself are a light keeper or a light bearer in this world. But as you bring on more of your own light, it's going to be much easier for you to see the shadow, to then actually integrate the shadow. Because I think much of your life, it was hard for you to see the shadow because you were so immersed in it. It was like trying to see the forest for the trees. You couldn't see the forest because you were so immersed in it. It was just too embroiled within it. But you're removing the blindfold and you're bringing on more light, and then you're going to be able to know exactly what to do. And what is it going to do? It's going to create some abundance. Abundance, when your heart's intention is to serve humanity, doors of abundance naturally open. And abundance really starts at love, right? It's love. And you're bringing more love, abundance of love into your life as well. But also financial abundance, material wealth, stability, security, emotional happiness, fulfillment, abundance of your creations and ideas to create new things in your life and to create new works of art. Because you have that higher knowing and divine guidance from spirit that's coming into, as you bring more light on, you're a better and easier to reach target for spirit to then funnel these beautiful divinely inspired ideas down into. And surrender stress. Take a few deep breaths and exhale the tension you've built up in your body. Let the stress go as you come back to your center. And this is going to be your key right here to really overcoming that stress. Okay, so let's just take a few deep breaths together right now, since we're all here, right? Gang's all here. Let's do it. One more. Now roll your shoulders, your neck, gently roll. Just release any tightness in your body. Now go spend the rest of your day really integrating what we learned here. If you have to watch this again, journal it, or just go take a nap afterwards even. Do whatever you feel called to do. Because I think the lessons and the things that your shadow has revealed to you in this reading are going to unfold over the coming days, weeks, months, maybe even years. So even if you want to save this to a specific playlist that you can kind of check back on it every once in a while, that is one little bit of guidance your higher self's coming in to say that would actually benefit you if you want to do that. Otherwise, just taking some notes about it and journaling about it even would help. But I just want to say, any go ahead if you would like to leave a comment to discuss anything that you learned here about yourself, or just vibe with people in the comments. That's always fun. I always love to hear from you. And as always, thanks again so much for all your likes, comments, shares, subscribes, and all the things. And I really, truly do hope to see you right here back at the Den Creative, also over on my live stream channel and my Patreon, which are both linked in the description below. We hope to see you over there in the High Vibe Tribe. All right, bye. All right, group 3. Wow, these have been so powerful. I'm so glad that Spirit suggested that I just release this to more people. I think more people can benefit from this than just my handful of patrons that I have. This is going to be your interview with your shadow. And if you are new to shadow work, or what is my shadow, basically your shadow is not just the negative aspects. Most people say, oh, the shadow is negative. I don't see it that way. I personally see the shadow as unintegrated parts of ourselves, or parts of ourselves we don't understand, parts of ourselves that scare us, parts of ourselves that we feel guilty or ashamed by. I mean, this is an all-encompassing thing, the shadow. And the shadow is wanting to talk to you today, so we're going to interview this shadow. Again, please use your discretion and your discernment with this reading. It's a general reading, so only take the information that resonates with you. Use your intuition, leave the rest behind. One more time, one more chance to click out of this. This is a trigger warning, so this is just your warning that, you may hear things you don't want to hear, and I am not the guy that likes to call people out. I just want to help, because we're not just calling out all these aspects. We're going to look at ways to integrate them and help you integrate this shadow, because these shadow aspects are actually really big strengths for you, and we want to make them strengths, not weaknesses, right? So let's go ahead and get started with your tarot and get some additional guidance from the oracle after we dive into the tarot. If I can get them separated here. You gotta keep them separated. Okay, so we'll just clear this deck and shuffle it all up. Yeah, I do back and forth so I don't get bowed cards with my riffle shuffles. And this is still a newer deck, so okay. What does Group 3 Shadow want us to know? What is Group 3 Shadow trying to illuminate? And we are dealing these in reverse. I forgot to mention that. We've already got the Ten of Pentacles in reverse here. Woo! They're saying too many. All right. What else is Spirits? What else is Group 3's Shadow wanting to say today? We've got 2 coming in. Ooh, 3 coming in. Wow, we've got the 4 of Swords and the Devil and the 3 of Cups. Wow. And on the back of the deck, they're telling me this is relevant as well. The Sun in reverse. Well, technically the Sun is upright, because this is going to be the underlying energy And it's very interesting just looking at these 3 cards here. There's 3 people, 3 people, 3 people. So the number 3 may be very relevant in your life. I don't know if you have 3 brothers and sisters, or you're one of 3 brothers and sisters. 3 close, you and 2 other people are making up what I'm seeing as the 3 here. Maybe you have 2 kids, you and 2 kids, or you have 3 kids possibly. If you do have children, or 3 pets. As the underlying energy from the bottom of the deck here, we have the sun. This is really letting me know that, what is the brightest light we have on this planet? It's the sun. And what are we asking about? The shadow. So you're going to be able to really illuminate the shadow and integrate it in this life. You are destined to face the deepest, darkest parts of yourselves and incorporate them as superpowers, as strengths in your life. You are not meant to go down with the ship of what everyone else is doing. You're meant to face your deepest inner wounds and fears and overcome them. You will overcome them. Group 3, you will overcome them, okay? Your shadow's already letting you know. They are going to be integrated with you. They're no longer going to be a separate version of you. They're going to integrate themselves with you, and not in a way where they bring you down with them, but no, you're bringing them up into the light, okay? You're bringing the shadow into the light to alchemize it and transmute it into something that's actually going to serve your highest good. So let's get into things from your past, just the shadow, whatever the shadow really wants to spill and bring forth. So we're going to start here with the 10 of Pentacles. So as it in the upright version, when the 10 of Pentacles is upright, this is happiness, this is family contentment, very similar energy to the 10 of Cups, but in this depiction, I'm really seeing this as that perfect family. And maybe on the outside looking in, you grew up in what was looked to be the perfect family, but you knew better because you were on the inside looking out. You realized there was a lot of darkness, a lot of secrets, a lot of trauma, a lot of just ancestral wounds built up within the family line. Even if you didn't have to experience a lot of those in your own childhood, you heard about them, or you just, maybe heard whispers of, in the family line about people talking about this. Could have been some embezzlement or ill-gotten gains, so to speak, in the family line. Or maybe you, at some point in your life, felt like you kind of had to cheat to get ahead in some way. But you really did, you came from this place of feeling lack or not worthy, not good enough, which has kind of been a theme with all 3 of the shadow piles we've really looked into. And you guys really are really, I just see like very precarious footing. Like you just have worked so hard in your life to find that stable ground, that stable footing. When you thought you found the right relationship, you quickly realized, okay, this wasn't it. When you found the dream job, you quickly realized it wasn't it. When you found, people who were friends, you quickly realized it wasn't it. Because I think a lot of, with these 2 depictions here are very similar energies. Something that seemed so good and too good to be true actually did turn out to be too good to be true. But that doesn't mean that's going to be your future, because this is your future. It's that connection, that contentment that you had sought that you didn't get earlier on in life. Especially those who had friends betray them over and over and over again. Or one really good friend that betrayed you. Or 2 or 3 really good friends that betrayed you through the years. Maybe all at once, maybe along the way. But you're gonna be able to actually experience what you wanted to all along and have the contentment and the connection and the happiness that you've always needed and wanted and desired. You will eventually get that. But many of you just didn't have the best beginning, or you had poor examples of what it was to be secure and stable just in your own confidence, in your own skin, in your own body. Maybe family members told you the way you looked wasn't right, or the way you acted wasn't right, the way you talk wasn't right. I just see like someone very picky with, this to me feels like a mother, maybe even a grandmother energy, that was just very picky, nitpicky with you. We did get this energy a lot in group 2 as well, that just like no matter what you did, it was never good enough. You tried so hard and it was just never good enough for this one person, or many people. The feminine, especially the feminine in your family line. Maybe there was one female in the family line that you did feel that connection, that love, that happiness with, but other females in the family line, it was hard. Or it's almost like the divine feminine in the family line is very out of balance. So maybe meaning that the masculines really, told the feminines what to do and how to be, how to dress, how to act. So for many of you, this could be the father figure that had just too much input, too much advice for you that you just didn't want to hear anyway. But maybe you went along with this person's wishes for the time being, and then later I do see a rebellion later on, but earlier on in life, there really was this, need to please and want to please because you wanted to feel included, you wanted to be loved, you wanted to feel that sunlight on your face, and many times it was like a cloudy day. And you, facing this shadow, you will create your own sunlight. You will find that light from within and shine it from inside out. That's what your shadow wants you to know. You will utilize all of the darkness that happened, all the sadness, all the wounds, all the trauma from the past to make your own sunlight from within. There is plenty of sunlight to be found from Spirit and Mother Earth as well. But I think, in co-creation with your inner higher self and Mother Nature, the Earth, and Spirit, you're going to co-create the life you finally want. You will. You will be able to do this because this is ultimately what you're going to be able to do. This is why you incarnated, to overcome all the darkness and turn the lights back on. Wow. With this Four of Swords here, this is someone who's very overburdened, very overworked. Maybe even going back to that perfect family, perfect life, and you're not feeling worthy or good enough, or like you have to prove yourself. Maybe you had to do a lot of stuff around the house or dealing with the family. We did pick up this dynamic a little bit in group 2 as well, or a lot bit actually in group 2, a lot. But I'm just hearing the word Cinderella, like you had to kind of beck and call with everybody else's wishes, desires, wants, physical needs. Clean this, do that, run here, do this. And you were just exhausted. I mean, this is exhaustion on like almost a cellular level here. But showing up the Four of Swords in reverse, this is you feeling rejuvenated by you facing and diving into the deeper parts of yourself, cleaning away all the cobwebs of shadow. You will then feel rejuvenated and feel that sun on your face. So you will overcome this. This is amazing that you're getting this in reverse because this is letting you know it's a potential to have you be able to overcome this. Then we have the Devil card. The Devil in reverse is you going within and really examining the truth. Is what your family growing up told you the truth? Is what society told you the truth? Most of it's not. Most of it's their own projection of their lies that were told to them and given to them by their parents or their friends or their societies. So this could be ancestral stuff. We did get a lot of ancestral stuff going on in group 1. But you are overcoming, this devil energy. He's got some money here. He's got some sweets, some ice cream here. He's trying to offer this person money. Well, that's something that I think many of you desire, is to have money, to be able to live the life you want, to be able to go where you want, be free. It's like, I think many of you do equate money with freedom, money with happiness. But really, it's not the money that's creating the happiness. It's the feeling of you gaining your self-worth back. Because I think when you guys do have a chunk of change in your pocket, you just feel much better about yourself. You feel that stress relief. You feel invigorated. But Spirit's showing, and your shadow's even coming in and showing, that it's not the money itself, it's what the money can do. It's the freedom that the money provides that you're actually looking for, not the money. So those of you who have been trying to manifest money to create abundance or the life you want, your shadow's saying you've been going about it the wrong way because you're so focused on the money, the money, the money, the money. It's the energy that the money will create, that freedom, that happiness, that joy that, we think money will create. It won't. But it's the freedom that we are really after. The happiness we're really after is not feeling like we have to work so damn hard to get ahead, to do the things we want, to be able to experience the connections we want. So really, you examining your shadows, wanting you to examine your limiting beliefs surrounding money, or what it is you do believe about money. It's a big player for you to overcome this shadow and really feel more stable and secure as an awakened soul on this planet. Okay? And also I'm seeing like a balance of the divine masculine and divine feminine within this devil energy here. But this is something you're alchemizing within by facing your shadow. Because many of you might be Gemini energy, or just have a chart, your birth chart is laid out in such a way that you're very dualistically inclined. Maybe you have your moon and sun in opposition, or your moon and sun together. You could have your sun or moon directly opposite your ascendant, something like that. Or maybe even just a lot of planets in Gemini, or a lot of planets in your third house. Something that makes you even, like, one day you want to be, they're showing me like a girl growing up. One day she's a complete tomboy rolling around in the mud with her friends, and then the next day she's doing her nails and doing her hair and wanting to go shopping. Like, these are the two aspects of your personality, and your shadow's letting you know you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can embody both versions of what you love. You don't have to limit yourself. And before, I think you felt, well, if I'm this way, people are going to think I'm fake, and then if I act this way around here, they'll think I'm fake. Who cares? Your shadow's like, who the F, I don't swear here, but who the F cares what that one says, that one says, that one says, that one says? You care, ultimately, because you grew up, or, in your younger years felt you had to prove yourself to everybody, and sometimes you would sacrifice your own happiness. Most of the time you would sacrifice your own happiness just to make sure the peace was kept, or, the waters weren't ruffled, the feathers weren't ruffled, the waters weren't, interrupted. I'm seeing this still pond, and your ultimate life goal was just to keep that pond still. But if someone threw a rock in that pond, or someone came and motorboated around in that pond, it really shook things up, and that was very uncomfortable for you, and you would sacrifice your own happiness and your own, not your soul so much, but like just peace of mind even, to appease and keep those waters calm. Well, now's the time to get those waters all turbulent, because you're waking up. You're no longer sleeping on the job of your soul and allowing the shadow to run the show, the ego to run the show. You're waking up to it, and you're doing something about it. You're facing the limiting beliefs. You're facing the lack mentalities that you grew up with. And this, to me, they're really showing me at least 3 very prominent lifetimes where you felt like you didn't even have control of your own body, or like you had any freedom or rights of your own without having to check in with some masculine figure. This could have been a king, could have been a husband, could have been a father, could have been patriarchal society, where you were a more feminine in this patriarchal society, where you felt you had to sacrifice pieces of yourself to just chase that dollar or get the security or stability that you sought, right? And with this 3 of Cups, you were left holding the bag like, wow, there's just nothing in this for me. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know why I try. I don't even want to be on this planet. Maybe even suicidal thoughts in the past. Because you just know on a soul level, this is not it for you. This is not it, sis. This is not it. And going back to that friend circle, maybe, that really, it's like they left you out. They celebrated without you. Maybe they made fun of you and shunned you and then became enemies of you. And I think even in the workplace, I'm really seeing this, like, as you grew up and stuff. In the workplace, you just kind of always felt like the odd man out. But just in your own family, odd man out, black sheep. Odd man out, black sheep at work. Odd man out, black sheep in your friend circles. Odd man out, black sheep in society. But this is part of your strength, part of your superpower. You don't have to bend to the will of everybody else and keep those waters calm to keep the peace. Sometimes you need to disturb the peace because they're showing me almost like our own actual society, the systems that we live in. You look like a lunatic when you start speaking out against the systems that are in place, the status quo. You will start looking like the lunatic if you're speaking out against the norm. But like they say, to be sane in an insane society, you're the one that's called insane. But you're actually the sane one. It's society at large that's very insane. I mean, we live in an inverted society. Up is down, west is north, and I mean, it's just bad. It's so... I mean, I could go down rabbit holes, but I think most of you who selected this pile, you know these rabbit holes we speak of. And you've probably done a lot of your own research, so we really don't need to go down those. I think many of you have really faced the shadow of the collective even. The collective shadow of the patriarchal society, of the, a lot of times people call this a prison planet. I don't completely agree with that, but I can see the merit. I can totally see where they're coming from in calling it that. But I subscribe to the fact that we chose to come here as souls. We chose to come here. You chose to come here. Even if you don't like it here, and you're like, wow, why did I do this? Why did I sign up for this? Still, ultimately, it was your freedom, your own choice, your free will that brought you here to begin with. And it's going to be your free will, your own choice, that's going to break you out of the matrix that is here. You're going from being laughed at, being shunned, to being included, and the beautiful warmth of that sun on your face. This is what you're going toward by facing your shadow, by really focusing and facing that limiting belief. And what's all around here is the beautiful color yellow, 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 yellow. Even the mother figure here is dripped in yellow. The father has yellow pants. This is you, yellow. But look, this is what you're ultimately doing. You're turning that frown upside down. You will be included again. I'm really seeing this as maiden, mother, and crone. So for some of you, it might be when you're older that you really do feel that you've embodied this shadow and become the wisdom and the light for others. But you doing all this shadow work, this isn't just you being selfish and doing your own shadow work and that's that. No. You doing this shadow work is going to raise the vibration of this planet 10-fold, 20-fold, 1,000-fold. It's going to ripple effect. All that still waters that you were trying to keep calm, you're going to be the one throwing the pebbles in and creating those ripple effects of change out. And look, I didn't even realize this. They're in those still waters creating their own ripples by celebrating and being who they are on that authentic soul level, integrating the shadow. I'm also reading this as the inner child, the shadow, and the higher self uniting. We did get those vibes in the other two groups as well. But you will be able to unify, overcome the traumas from childhood, really integrate the shadow, alchemize it into something that's going to serve your highest good in this incarnation and help you bring more of your higher self online. But I think many of you as children, with this blue here, you weren't able to speak your truth. You weren't able to be who you were on an authentic level. But here she's rebelling just enough. She's dyed her hair pink, right? She's got her hair pink, even though parents maybe said don't do that, or authorities said don't do that. Of course, this is figurative. It doesn't have to be literal. Could be literal, though, for some of you. And then green. So you've finally spoken the truth. And then with the shadow, you've got to really dive into your heart and ask what your heart wants. And usually the shadow clashes up against that. So you've really got to, once you face the shadow, it's like you're illuminating and really turning on that heart chakra. And then as a result of doing both of these things, you're really gaining your self-confidence, your self-awareness, your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth and value. You're seeing your value. Because one of the most precious metals we have here, they're holding the gold, right? The gold. And she's wearing a gold and yellow dress. So she's embodying the most precious, the most valuable. And we've got the gold light of the sun. They call it golden hour, right at sunrise and sunset. They call that golden hour. And it's that crone energy. Maiden, mother, and crone energy I'm really reading with this as well. But there's abundance here. I just heard teach a man to fish and he will eat for the rest of his life. So it's like someone handed you a fish years ago and you ate and then you were hungry the next day, but you had to teach yourself how to fish. But as a result of you going through this shadow of yours, you're going to then have the tools to teach others how to fish. So you're not going to just hand them a fish, hand them a fish, hand them a fish. You may even be doing similar to what I'm doing here. A leader or just a speaker, tarot reader maybe, someone who helps others. You're shining the light on their shadow and helping them overcome and integrate it much quicker than you had to, because they've got your wisdom with this crone energy you're embodying. And you don't have to wait. Their spirit's saying, and your shadow's saying, you don't have to wait till you're old and gray to embody this crone energy. You can embody this now. You don't have to wait. All right, so I am going to restart my camera because it will run out and stop filming here in about 6 minutes or so. So I'm going to restart the camera and we will meet back up with the oracle cards. Okay, here we go. Oh my goodness, interesting. Look at this. We've got patience and patience. So like I had just wrapped up saying, you don't have to wait, you don't have to wait. But yet, shadow coming in hot to say it's not going to happen overnight still. Yes, you don't have to wait till you're old and gray, but still there is this element of patience, of putting in the work and the effort and allowing it, because you don't get to this 10 of Pentacles overnight. That earth energy is the slowest moving. And I want to actually turn this one up right as well, because we're going to be operating, once you overcome this shadow, you're going to be operating from a place of embodiment of the 10 of Pentacles, right? Whew, I keep saying right, like I'm trying to get you guys to agree with me, but it's almost like the shadow's like, right, pick me, I'm the one. Okay, we are kind of going to leave these two for last because this is basically what we're getting as a result of you facing shadow and integrating the shadow. So we'll start right here. Oops, hitting my table. The Diamond Dreamer, material wealth and true prosperity. Right next to the 10 of Pentacles. So this is something your shadow is desperately wanting you to integrate and overcome. Those lack mentalities with your wealth and the true prosperity, and knowing that true prosperity isn't that coin, making that money. Okay, once I make X amount of dollars, I will have made it. I'll be successful and happy for the rest of my life. That's not how it works. It's the feeling, the freedom, the sovereignty that usually we associate with money is what we're actually after, not the money itself. But you guys really are examining those limiting beliefs and actually creating that material wealth and true prosperity by facing your shadow. And you're working in tandem with spirit to do so, with your higher self, with your inner child, with your shadow, with your guides, angels, the universe, Mother Earth. It's all a cohesive, connected web to create a synergistic result of you bringing more light to this planet, bringing more of your own higher self online so that you don't have to suffer so much like you had to in the past. And you're working more in tandem with those around you. As you bring more of your own light on, shadow will start to dissipate because you're integrating it little by little. Again, with your patience here, you're integrating this shadow little by little by little. And they're really showing me a stage somewhere between Mother and Crone that you guys will embody for quite a long time. So it'll feel like you've accomplished a lot of what you're trying to accomplish. It's just not like completed. But really, one completion is just yet another beginning, right? And that's how I see it for you guys. It's like you complete one thing and then it's the new beginning for something new. But you guys really thrive on starting something new. I think the hardest part for you, as far as your shadow showing me, is finishing the job or accomplishing the task, because you really do associate that with control and power. Other people telling you have to do all these things, and then when you would complete them, it's like you would barely get any recognition or reward for doing so anyway. Or you do it and it wouldn't be done quote unquote right. So you'd have to redo it. So I think you guys are really good at starting things, and the shadow part of you wants you to learn to finish things. And grounding. Grounding is so important, and I love that it's right here below. I mean, I'm going to assume they're barefoot. They are kind of in the puddle of water up to their ankles here, but I would assume they're barefoot. So they are grounded. They are connected to nature. So feeling that connection to nature is going to be very important. Working with nature, working with the natural cycles of nature even, is going to be very important, because we've got the release card here, which is fall. Most basic bees' favorite holiday is fall, and I am one of them. I don't consider myself a basic bee, basic bitch. I don't try to swear here, but Spirit told me to just say it. So your shadow is a bad influence on me. I don't really associate myself as being a basic bee or B word, but I love fall. I love autumn so hard. I love autumn so much that I embody the beautiful autumn colors in my hair year-round from birth until age 39. I love me some fall leaves and fall colors. So yes, I have flaming red hair. But your shadow is wanting to be released. Your shadow showing me themselves kind of built up in a cage. Almost like the devil energy, but they're not chained. They are in a cage. And they want you to release them. The shadow wants to be released. They're just waiting for you to make the call to release. And once that shadow's released, it's not going to go wreak havoc everywhere. It's actually going to stick real close to you. I mean, think of the shadow that's connected to you when the sun is out. You can't escape it. It's always there under your feet. You can't escape it. And it can't escape you. But it wants released from the prison that you've put it in within your aura, right? And it wants to be part of the show. It wants to come out in the sunlight with you. It wants to walk in tandem with you and celebrate with you and be reintegrated and be a beautiful whole part of you. But you need to release a lot of your limiting beliefs, a lot of the stuff that happened in your past. It's now time to release it, to forgive it, and move on into something that's actually going to serve you. Because you're grounding new energy, new light onto this planet to create something totally new, to create your own prosperity and abundance. But you're not doing it alone. This is a trifecta here. Mind, body, soul, mother, maiden, crone, inner child, shadow, higher self. The Holy Trinity. Angelic help. You've got the Eagle King here, the big picture, and angelic help. I think for many of you, you are really dealing in ancestral wounds, ancestral traumas, especially associated with that lack mentality or lack of security, lack of freedom, lack of sovereignty. You're facing this. You're facing, and not only facing it, you're overcoming it. Because something that is dark and wet, like this shadow, is really showing me itself as like a black goo, dark and wet. Well, you bring it out into the light, and it's going to dry it up and solidify it into a more solid thing. It might be like dried up slime, right? But you're going to be able to integrate that. Weird analogy your shadow's giving me, but this is actually something, it's almost like they're showing me now. I have a chokecherry tree in my backyard, and something that the Native Americans did was they would take chokecherries and then they'd have a big rock like this, and then another rock to pound the chokecherries. So you don't want to eat the chokecherry whole, because there's a pit that takes up at least 60% of the cherry itself that has cyanide in it. You to just eat those, you could poison yourself if you eat the pit or the seed with it. But what Native Americans would do, they would pound those seeds and the berry all together into a pulp till it was unrecognizable. And then they would lay that out in the sun. They'd kind of make them into little cakes or patties. Kind of like, think of a burger, like a burger patty that you shape the hamburger and then you lay it out in the pan. Well, they would make little cakes out of these crushed up chokecherries, and they'd leave them out in the sun to create little dried fruit cakes. But once the sun thoroughly dried out the seeds and all, it released the toxicity of what was in the pit, or the seed of the chokecherry. And it actually was very medicinal. Those seeds are very, very medicinal and very full of vitamins, antioxidants, and all of that. When you expose them to sunlight and alchemize or transmute what's toxic within them. So that, goo, that little ball of slime that will be dried out, you will be able to then ingest that or consume that and bring that into your body, embody it, and have it serve you. That's really, okay, that's why I'm like, why would we want to dry out the slime? Now we just have a dried up slime ball. Now I see where we're going with this. Wow. Okay, so patience is going to be key here. This is not an overnight success because it took you multiple lifetimes to get where you are. I don't think it's going to take multiple lifetimes to really clear what you've got going on here. It's just going to take this lifetime, not the full lifetime, because you're going to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, because you are going to overcome and surmount a lot of what your shadow is presenting to you in this life. You're going to be able to almost completely, they're showing me like 80 to 95%. It's a sliding scale spectrum, because some of you are more close to 80%, some of you are closer to 95% of what you signed up to come here and experience and do and overcome. 80 to 95% is what you're going to accomplish, which is huge. I mean, to sign up for a huge undertaking, to come to Earth in and of itself is such a challenge. But everything that you have signed up to overcome and face, wow, that's nothing to joke about. That is powerful stuff. And like I said, the number 3 was very important, right? We've got the number 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. And then we've got the number 6, which is 3 plus 3. So 3, 3, 3. The number 33, the number 333. The number 9, completion. Mic drop. I did what I came here to do. Wow. Last card, surrender to rest and sleep. To prevent burnout, slow down. Patience. Patience is key. Be patient and allow destiny to unfold at its own pace. So facing this shadow with patience and not burning yourself out by diving in and trying to accomplish the whole thing at once. So honor your need for quiet time and peaceful sleep to rejuvenate your mind, body, and spirit. So some of you do need rest. Some of you do need sleep. All of you do. We had that come out in 2 different cards over in group 2. But wow, man, we went in. You guys might have to save this video, watch it again, or take notes. Just let it integrate, take a break, maybe take a nap after this. That was my advice to group 2. Just let it integrate. Go ground yourself outside, because we went in with this. I hope you didn't ever feel attacked or called out. That was absolutely not my intention here. I just wanted to help you guys know how to face the shadow. What was the shadow? Again, if some of this didn't resonate, you don't have to keep it or take it on as your own, but I hope you at least got a little something out of this. I'm glad Spirit had me share this with a greater number of you than rather just keeping this as a Patreon exclusive like was my original plan. But this kind of reading is this type of stuff we're going to be doing over on Patreon. So if you were interested in more like so, you can check that out. The link for my Patreon is in the description. But at the very least, I would love to hear from you guys. If you want to leave a comment, share your stories, vibe with other people in the comments. I always love to hear from you. And as always, thanks again so much for all your likes, comments, shares, subscribes, and all the things. And I really, truly do hope to see you right here back at The Done Creative, also over on my live stream channel, The Done Creative Live, and my Patreon, where we go in. Link for those are in the channel, or in the description below, and I hope to see you over there in the High Vibe Tribe. All right, bye!